So I have been using the Sony A6400 for more than 4 months now, and actually I ordered it just on the release date. Well, I am now today to share some of my thoughts and what I think about it after 4 months. I got the Sony A6400 for my Bcam, and I wanted a perfect match for my Sony A7 III. Am I satisfied? Well, this is not actually my first video for the A6400. I compared it fully to the A7 III and made a full in-depth autofocus tracking feature test with the Sony A6400, and all the videos are linked in the description. If you're getting your Sony A6400 for your A-cam and you never used the Sony menu system before, well, you might have a hard time in the beginning, before getting used to the weird Sony menu system. It's faster and more responsive than the Sony A7 III system, but it's still the same layout. Please Sony, make us an understandable menu system. I can bet that 30% of Sony mirrorless system users doesn't have a clue about some functions and some function descriptions in the menu and what they are meant for. Superior Auto Image Extract, Reg Custom Shoot Set, Release VWO Lens, Send to Smartphone Funk, Image Jump Settings. Come on Sony, make us understand what you meant for them. The Sony A6400 has a built-in flash, and I don't recommend you to use it with full-frame lenses. The lenses gets in the way of the flash, and you will get lens shadows in the photos. Maybe it's only designed for the kit lens. If you are a selfie lover, you will like the top of the notch selfie screen. When paying around $1,000 for your A6400, you plan to have a shutter and aperture dial. Well, I'm used to the Sony A7 III. On the A6400 there is only one dial. The Sony A6400 has actually only one true dedicated custom button that it's not programmed for anything else. There is one thing that they made really great. The side door for the microphone, USB and mini HDMI port is really decently designed. Not like my Sony A7 III flappy disaster. When using the Sony A6400 with full-frame lenses, you might have taken to note that this was designed for APS-C smaller lenses. When mounting it on a gimbal, you will always need a riser plate to compensate for the height. The batteries go out really quickly on the Sony A6400 because they are tiny, and you will get only about 1 hour of 4K footage. I got some aftermarket Patona batteries and charger, and they last pretty much the same like the original ones. Link in the description for the set, they are pretty good. The SD card is in the same compartment where your tiny battery is. I don't like it, but I managed to get used to it. I'm actually always switching batteries, so I use a 128GB card, so I don't have to worry about memory. If you plan to use your Sony A6400 for vlogging, you might wanna get a hot shoe relocation plate, so your mic will not get into the way of your selfie screen. The memory recall setting is okay. Once you switch to MR, select it with your dial and confirm with your desired memory settings created. For filming on a wedding, I mostly use PP4 Cine 4 with the color cinema mode. When I'm doing other stuff, I mostly use PP7 S-Log2 S-Gamut 3, like this intro for the AK4000 completely filmed with the Sony A6400. When mounting the Sony A6400 with a full-frame lens on a gimbal, it will be mostly front-heavy. And be aware, sometimes there will be no more room at the backside roll motor. One thing that I really don't like is the side placement of the record button. It should have been somewhere like here or here. This place, well, sometimes I accidentally press it. Long story short, these were some struggles that I deal every day with the A6400. This isn't my cinematic settings or an in-depth review. I will make that in a future video. This was actually a glimpse of my thoughts using it as a Bcam. I'm planning a video on how to prepare it for video shoots and also how I use the picture profiles. That was all for today. Thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe with the bell ring icon to get notified every time I make a new video, and see you on my next one.